Under the continued pressure from the US, Hong Kong is no longer an international financial center. The hotspot of foreign exchange trading has shifted to Singapore. CCP official Wang Yi ignored the world's sanction against the Venezuelan government and chose to march together with the dictator towards darkness. The food crisis in mainland China is becoming more and more serious. The CCP is rapidly increasing its purchase of wheat and other agricultural products from the US. The CCP official media quoted Reuters News that the US is going to increase sanctions and blacklist China's largest chip manufacturer, SMIC. The CCP promoted the 5 no's, but the common people became sober and bravely expressed their opposition on the internet. They would not sacrifice for the ruler. The cancellation of Mongolian teaching continues to develop. The CCP pretended to be open to opinions, but actually banned speeches. Armed police surrounded the school, threatening and hurting students and their parents. The so-called suicides have begun to happen in Mongolia, just like in Hong Kong. CCP's armed police surrounded the school to prevent students from escaping and parents from picking up their children. Mongolians are singing their own national songs in opposition to the CCP's minority ethnic group extermination policy. Affected by the typhoon Misak, a large area of corn were destroyed in Songyang City, Jilin Province. Areas in the northeast were affected by the typhoon, which caused drastic agricultural production decrease. Hello, today is September 4th. Last night, the Heilongjiang province was hit by Typhoon Misak. The mountainous regions of Kela suffered severe damages. Look, all of the corn crops fell down. It's over. They can't stand upright. This is a severe loss of production. A TV station interviewed an elementary school child who was seen talking about the CCP's communist youth values and the so-called Red Revolutionary spirit. Under the CCP's lie of street vendor economy, urban management officers were seen smashing people's properties, exhibiting outrageous, thuggish behaviors. On September 4th, Wuhu in Anhui was still out of power and water supply 45 days after the flooding. The CCP ignored the people's lives and kept lying. As India was sending troops to confront the CCP, ethnic Tibetans raised the Tibetan flag and presented katas to Indian soldiers.
Brawling with police in the name of freedom. Demonstrators were picked off one by one to rounds of applause. Handcuffed but far from gagged, their hatred for lockdown was laid bare.
Mark, how many protesters were arrested?
Police have told me that they were extremely disappointed to have had to arrest 17 people today, Alicia. That number continues to rise. We don't have all the detail as they're still being questioned, but at least 14 will be charged with breaking the Chief Health Officer's rules. One of them will be charged with assaulting police.
Until March this year, Felicity Callard was fit, active and strong. Then the 49-year-old British university professor caught COVID-19. Initially, she was sick for 2 weeks, then seemed to get better.
And thought, OK, it's been terrible, but I'm getting better. And then everything actually got much worse in the second month. So I ended up at A&E in the second month with just incredible abdominal pains and lots of joint pains and terrible headaches, sort of shooting pains up and down my arms. And then that's kind of come and gone, and it's now, over 5 months, 5.5 months later, and I still feel really pretty unwell, both physically and cognitively.
New analysis by Amnesty International shows over 7,000 health workers worldwide have died from COVID-19. In July, Amnesty had said over 3,000 health workers had died due to the virus. Now that figure has more than doubled in less than 2 months. Mexico had the highest figure for any country, with 1,320 health workers dying. The U.S. suffered the second highest death toll with 1,077. The UK and Brazil followed with 649 and 634 respectively. Amnesty International says the figures are likely underestimated due to underreporting by many of the countries.
I think the government 对这件事情隐瞒了一些真相。这个真相呢，导致我们武汉的老百姓正常过年。我觉得我要向他们追责，我要他们为他们做的事情付出他们的应有的代价。
Zhao Lei's father fell ill at the end of January. There was no ambulance to take him to hospital, so his family set out to walk the 6 miles in the freezing cold before they were picked up in a local's tuk-tuk. He died of respiratory failure as he sat in the emergency waiting room. She's suing the local government for compensation and for a public apology. But the local courts have rejected her case. And the police have pressured Zhao Lei's mother to drop her lawsuit and to not speak publicly. Justice is one of China's 12 core socialist values, here on proud display. But it is hard to come by, and so many would rather forget.
Now to a fighter jet crash in China. A clip circulating on social media shows an airplane wreckage engulfed in flames on Friday. It was found to be near Guilin City in the southern province of Guangxi. Users who posted the video claimed that it was a Su-35 fighter jet belonging to China's Air Force. They said it was shot down by Taiwan over the Taiwan Strait or South China Sea. Guilin is located over 500 miles away from the Taiwan Strait. Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense denied shooting down the jet, calling it false information and completely untrue. In a statement, it wrote the Taiwanese Air Force Command pointed out that it strongly condemns such malicious acts by deliberating, creating, and disseminating false information on the internet in an attempt to confuse the audience. Another clip showed a man on a stretcher, as reports claim the fighter jet's pilot was injured. Neither Chinese authorities nor Chinese state media have commented on the situation.
We are working very closely with a lot of countries on a lot of different things. We've taken stronger action against Russia than any other country in the world, as you know. I'll tell you, President Putin would tell you that right now. But the fact that I get along with Russia and that I get along, frankly, with everybody right now, I'm not getting along with China, but that's my choice. I don't like what happened with respect to the pandemic, with respect to the China virus. I don't like it at all. What they've done to this world and this country and Europe and every place else is terrible.
Okay, now we're going to go to Kyle Obert, expert, one of the guys that has helped the Uyghurs more than anything. Kyle, thanks for joining us here. Walk through this genocide. Milesguo said the other day, says, hey, I don't know why you Americans are not calling this the CCP-Virus genocide against the United States and the entire world. But now other people are talking about genocide in the Uyghurs. They're suppressing Mongolia. Walk people through exactly what's going on with the Chinese Communist Party in this charge of genocide.
Yeah, so for the past, 5 or so years, the Chinese Communist Party has been building a vast system of concentration camps, prisons, and forced labor camps. And in these facilities, they've been brainwashing people, they've been torturing people, they've been committing all sorts of atrocities. And finally, we're reaching fever pitch here, where people are starting to really awaken to the horrors of what's going on. This is mass internment not seen since the days of the Holocaust. There are millions and millions of people who are missing. Their families don't know where they are. And the crime of genocide is very clearly defined in 18 U.S. Code Section 1091. It lays out 6 points which qualify as genocide. And to some extent, the Chinese Communist Party is meeting every single one of those criteria. So, what we have to do now is we need to be less self-absorbed in our political debate. We need to realize that there is quite possibly another Holocaust developing. And, both candidates need to actually start calling this what it is, which is a genocide. And we need the Department of Justice to start enforcing 18 U.S. Code Section 1091.
Let me ask you for a second, Kyle. I got to jump in here. You would think there'd be a firestorm. I mean, we did you do anything against radical Islam, and you get Qatar, and you get these countries just blowing up, and they got all their running dogs over here, the CARE and all these things. Why is it crickets from the Islamic community on this? These are essentially, this is the Muslim population in East Turkestan. Why are there crickets? Why do I not hear protests? Why are they not in front of the Chinese embassy? Why, if it's genocide and it's literally you're talking about concentration camps and maybe another Holocaust? I mean, the terms are very provocative. Why? And I'm not saying the United States should not be involved in this and the moral, the moral code we have. But where is the Islamic world on this? Countries, just random countries. I'm going to start some random countries that are kind of part of CCP. Pakistan, Iran, what's happening with Saudi Arabia, what's happening in the Gulf Emirates that are selling the oil, maybe even the UAE, right? Where is the outrage from the Islamic community that are in business with the Chinese Communist Party?
Hey, I mean, that's a great question. Attorney General Barr, he mentioned the threat that China poses to our elections, influencing our elections. But we need to understand what the CCP is doing. They're doing it worldwide. You just mentioned all of these countries. Pakistan, Iran, Turkey are really three countries who you would expect to be speaking up on this. But in Pakistan, you've got the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which the Pakistani military, is completely tangled up in. So they're getting all this Chinese money. It's going to graft and corruption and bribery, right? You look at Turkey. Turkey is in bad shape economically. They're looking for a bailout. They've alienated NATO. They've alienated Russia. So now they're turning to China. So you're not going to see Turkey speak up about the Uyghurs, probably. In fact, there's credible evidence that Turkey has been surreptitiously deporting Uyghurs to third-party countries where, they then get sent back to China.
Raheem Kassam writes a book about no-go zones, and they're trying to destroy him. Here, the Chinese Communist Party, what do you say? There's millions of people they can't even account for. They got a whole series of concentration camps. Right? And it's crickets. It's crickets. You're saying it's in the code of what genocide is. We're going to get into that in the days and weeks ahead. But I'd like to know where the Islamic community is. This is happening because it's Islamic. Chinese Communist Party hates all religion. Hates Tibetan Buddhism. Hates evangelical Christianity. Hates house Catholics. Hates Falun Gong. Hates the Uyghurs. Why? We've had it on the show every day. This is why she's calling us out for months and months and months on Saturday. Why? They're materialistic, godless, atheistic apparatus, right? And was all the little Lao Beijings come on the show and say, hey, whatever your religious belief is, they got to strip it out of you so you can become robotic.
The 2017 September, same today. It's the September 4. It's 3 years ago. Today is the 2017 September 4 in the DC and the press conference. I talked to America. I have two secret, high qualified document from CCP inside. I get this one. One is CCP sent a spy to America. They work in the Bank of China in New York. Another one is CCP have a strategy how can take down America. All of this is the two documents I give America FBI. Before I go to the press conference, FBI, the agents, I ask them, do you verify my document I give you that's true as fake? They tell me, yes, we are check. We are technically check. That's true. I'll say, okay. Then I go to the press conference. I have another three as high qualified as document. But before press conference, I in the bathroom, I burned, I fired. Why? I think it's too dangerous for my family. Also, America, nobody believes me anymore. Nobody asked me, what is Milesguo before the 1 hours in the DC 3 years ago, September 4th, same today. Which document I burned? I told you, sir, you never ask me. Right? Now I'm in the war room. Now I can give you the answer. I burned this document. Is CCP called 13579, high qualified document. They have the program, make the biological weapon and the chemical weapon. They talk how can use the P3 lab. P4 lamb and make the biology weapon, and China how can make is the chemical weapon. That's why, sir, 3 years ago, I can see please America and the West of the world, do you prepare? Are you ready? Is CCP the black cloud is coming your sky? That's a warning.
India crosses 4 million virus cases with record surge. Brazil reports more than 50,000 new coronavirus cases. Australia's Victoria state reports 81 new coronavirus cases. Global model predicts 1.9 million more deaths by the end of 2020. A key model predicts 410,000 US coronavirus deaths by January 1st. US coronavirus cases increase again as Labor Day weekend kicks off. South Korea reports lowest daily total cases in 3 weeks. Sanofi France chief says the price of future vaccine will be less than 10 euros. Report says 63% of New York restaurants could close over coronavirus losses.